Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I'm your host, the One Take Man, and welcome once again to Daft Punk Month 2. In this video, I will be reviewing the duo's second live album, Alive 2007. Released in November of 2007, it was initially recorded a few months earlier, on July 14th, at the Palais Omnisport de Paris-Bercy, better known today as the Accor or Bercy Arena. I'm not sure whether or not or to what extent the duo themselves are patriotic, but I can pretty much guarantee that there are plenty of people who attended that concert and that had the best national holiday of their lives. The TLDW for this review is this album is excellent at showcasing the body of work and aesthetic sensibilities of this of this duo. It very effectively sums up and highlights their their creative ethos and what it is that makes them distinctive from an aesthetic perspective, especially when compared to other relatively similar acts. It is without a doubt one of the best live albums to have ever been recorded, and I have no trouble recommending it to anyone who is even remotely interested in this duo. And now that I'm done gushing about this album, it's time I explored it a little in a little bit more depth. I won't go through any of the individual tracks and explore what kind of messages those are trying to tell, because to be honest, this album isn't that deep, or more precisely, it is not that kind of deep, because the various tracks on this album actually consist of remixes and mashups of a variety of tracks, mainly from the duo's first three albums. And because of that, a lot of their initial messages kind of fall to the wayside. Nevertheless, there is still there are still messages that are constructed through the various ways in which these tracks are mashed up, namely in how it is that they reveal the various distinctive harmonies and themes and motifs that characterize the output and aesthetic interests of Daft Punk. It is actually very exciting to see how well these tracks complement each other, and how they manage to fill out this expansive soundscape that they themselves are able to create and establish. While listening to this album, I couldn't help but be reminded a little bit of Kraftwerk, a German group that was an early innovator of electronic music in the 1970s. This will be a little bit of a side tangent, but I'll bring you back to Daft Punk eventually. When Daft Punk, not when Daft Punk, when Kraftwerk first branched into electronica, they had to strip down a lot of their compositions, and then find a way to reconstruct their sounds within this new technological milieu of the electronic music. It very much necessitated, due to the therefore minimal nature of their composition, that most of their albums become concept albums, so that they were able to create a more substantial framing for what would be for their minimalist compositions, and that allowed them to breathe life within a direction of technological development that they feared could become dehumanizing. With this album, I'm pretty sure that Daft Punk actually it could be said that Daft Punk have reached the culmination of that vision of breathing life into electronica. It's not as though Daft Punk doesn't have a creative advantage over Kraftwerk. I very much acknowledge that. However, what sets this album apart isn't that they have more, isn't that their equipment is more varied in any specific way, or that it has more versatility, or rather, it's not intrinsically that. There's also the fact that they themselves have mastered it and can utilize their equipment in order to create more complex and more imaginative compositions. Something that and are able to therefore effectively showcase an aesthetic vision while also reaching out to their audience and interacting with them. If Alive 1997 represents the worst parts of clubbing, where you have basic beats which are then overlaid with every option on a turntable until eventually the result is a discordant and chaotic mess, Alive 2007 represents the best aspects of clubbing, where prolific musicians are able to use all of the options that their equipment provides them with, in order to create outstanding harmonic compositions that are memorable both to them and to their audiences. Admittedly, this album is not perfect. There are still some issues I would like to mention. First of all, there are some tracks that kind of drag, that don't really gather or hold any of the rhythmic momentum that I think the group themselves would have wanted this album to have. And secondly, while the way the tracks are mixed is done very well, I can't help but note that even in spite of that, there are some there I haven't really changed my mind on any of the individual tracks. So while they're good, there isn't really a meaningful reinvention, so to speak, of what it is that defines their sound. Overall, this Grammy Award winning album very much lives up to its hype, and I think whoever is interested in seeking it out will find that it very much find their attention and curiosity very much rewarded. My final rating for Alive 2007 is a 4 out of 5. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video and maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add to the album itself or to my review of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I also have a main channel where I talk about book-related and literature topics, a link to which you can find in the description down below, alongside links to the rest of my social media accounts, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to. Additionally, you have the option of supporting me on Patreon as well, where depending on the level at which you pledge, you will receive various perks, such as early access to my videos and scripts, both for this channel and the aforementioned main one. Until next time, I have been the One Take Man.